Patrick Simpson, and you're listening to People for People Radio, the voice of truth in Scotland.
Hello, everybody. Hey, it's so good to be here on People for People. This is Barbara Three Crow. I'm talking to you here from Turtle Island, over here on the other side of the world, wherever you are. The name is now the U.S. of A., but it is really Turtle Island. And I'm going to be sort of like leading us, I guess, in a bit. I have Stone, the beautiful Stone, wise woman, sister, and Stefan, our, I guess, who's trying to get his way over here to Turtle Island somewhere. I don't know. Keep trying and make it happen. We're happy to have you guys here on People for People. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. It's good to see everybody in the chat. Well, as usual, before we started the show, we've been chatting, and we're ramping up already. I wish we'd tape our talks behind the scenes here, and then we could put them up as a pod. But I just came back from Colombia, South America, so maybe you noticed I wasn't present too much around for the last 11 days. Well, I have a lot on my mind, as I know Stone does, and I know Stefan does, and we're going to get into it. And some of the things really come in swift and very quickly and fast, a lot of shifting and changing. I went over there across the Great Waters to Colombia to be with some of the people there, the indigenous people there who had asked me many years ago to go to help them. And which I did. I've been going back and forth there for a while, and to pray with them and help them. And I just want to say that the things that I helped these people with, that they were being affected by, is what we're all being affected by. And it's a lot of really dark stuff that are intruding on people's lives, disruptive and corrupting things, and messing around with people's lives. And this is something I think that we're going to kind of get into today. We've talked about this so many times, my sister Patty Walking Turtle and me and others on these shows, about the frequencies, the energies that we are being affected by and inundated by. And this is real. I have to really emphasize this. I'm going to keep doing it. I've been talking about this for years. The key to everything is frequency. And we are in a serious circumstance here, situation. And if we don't understand what is going on, well, I don't know. I don't know what to say. But this is a key piece. This is very vital that we really get to know what we are being inundated with, what is affecting us, body, mind, and spirit, and others. I've been keeping track of insane stuff going on, like ramping up. I was told in a vision that we would be seeing chaos, and we would be observing the behaviors of people that would shock us and stun us, and that is very present today. I have said often that if you look at some of these people in their eyes and in their faces, the mugshots of these people, nobody is home. I have said, and many of us have said, that these people are being mind controlled or affected, brainwashed, affected by various things to do such horrible things that, yeah, I'm stunned, I'm shocked. And every day I say, well, it can't get any worse than this, but it does. And this is what we're looking at. And on the other side of it, we have solutions, and we have amazing, extraordinary things that we can do, but we have to get real. We have to know this is real. This is not a game, folks. Yes, you may have read some of this stuff in some sci-fi books or seen sci-fi movies. Well, yes, I think we're living a sci-fi, but it really seems like that. It seems incomprehensible. It seems unbelievable. It seems this can't be happening. This can't be real, but it is. Every day I realize, yes, this is real. So get over the fact that this is like a movie and get real. Get, we have to get strong. We have to get smart. Can't be fooling around anymore. We really can't. And we're all here to talk about that. We have some discussions on the frequency waves, on the portals being opened. You know, we have we've talked about CERN with their Kali statue and the scientists who said we're going to be gods and you can't stop us. They're opening up portals, messing with Creator's creation. And we had, well, HARP. Well, I'm thinking there's new stuff on the horizon that is more insane than CERN and more insane than HARP. And I just came across this thing called the D wave. And we could talk about that too. The D wave is some new kind of computerized whatevers to go into dark places. And it has a heartbeat, and the owner of this and the creator of this speaking to an audience who all sat there dumb, really dumb, like this is okay, this is normal, saying we're going to go into these dark portals through these dark realms, and we're going to pull out the technology and we're going to use it. And then he said the sound of this machine is like a heartbeat, but it is almost like, well, not, he didn't say almost, he said this is like an altar to an alien god. Think about that. So we have Q talking about, yes, we're not alone in the universe. Well, I've known that. I'm sure everybody here on this panel has known we are not alone in the universe. I know there's good, bad, and ugly in all arenas. There's good, there's bad, there's dark, there's light, positive, negative. And so this is what we're dealing with, and this is how I'm going to open that show right now, our show today. Here we are on Thursday's Roundtable. And Stone, I'm going to ask you to come in and give us all your thoughts and insights on maybe some of this, what I spoke about, or anything new.
Hi, Three Crow, Barbara Three Crow. It's lovely to be here, and welcome to everybody on the show. Some great topics here. We're going to knock this ball out of the ballpark. All right, there's so many areas that you just spoke about that, I've actually written down over the last couple of days. I've been experiencing these myself around me. And I agree, it comes down to the knowledge of the frequency, what you're putting out, what you're being bombarded with, the breakdown of the mental and the physical symptoms as in reactions to how you are dealing with the frequencies that are coming in. You were talking about how you went into Kali and the CERN, and I'm looking at the portals. Now, a few years back, I was taking photos of orbs, and I was getting things that I labeled vortexes. These were like, you could see through them, and then they extended at the end. It was like, like an ice cream cone. There's a point where you start it, and then it extends as they come in with that energy on that frequency. So they compound the intensity into a very tight mass, a solid mass, to penetrate through the different frequencies and then expand themselves out so that they can actually feed off the energy around them and then create this vortex. Watching the CERN over the few years, I know there's not just one CERN base on this planet. There are a couple. It goes in hand with the different deep underground military bases, the DUMS. I lived in Western Australia for a while, and they said where Pine Gap was, and that there was heaps and heaps of UFO sightings and all this. This is going back in the 80s to the 84. So in between that time frame when I was there, I got to experience craft coming in and the military coming in, showing me that there are other areas of bases, underground military bases, showing that they're linked all around the planet. What we've been living in has been one form of staged illusion. We've known for a long time. When you look at the history books, you can see that we've had different frequency crafts coming in We can see that everything has been designed, good and bad, hierarchy, positive, negative. Where, in one of the notes that I wrote down, I'm looking at the different forms of hierarchy, the spiritual hierarchy, and how they play some of the games that they do. Knowing that I have been in both the Anglican Church area, the Church of England, and the Satanic Church, as well as the Catholic Church. Later on, I started looking at all these different religions and seeing different links that were, they were linked. They were all linked, but I couldn't understand at the time how they were connected. Now where I'm at, I'm looking at the deities that they're saying out there that are divas and so forth. And I'm looking at the way that the male attitudes have been portrayed over years of keeping female in a slavery position, saying we're of a lower magnitude, etc., knowing that the different planetary pulls and the usage through Admiralty Maritime Law are all surrounded in the female carrier/vessel, and I'm looking at those frequencies and the hormones they're putting into the waters and foods and developing a third gender. We already had hermaphrodites being born in the 80s. Now they've turned around and legalized, same-sex marriages. Now they're bringing and introducing transsexuals and transvestites at 5-year-old stage, which is, to me, is a predatory stage. They no longer can hold and bring in the populace under the disguise of religion and goodness, because what we're living in is a different frequency. When you're talking about the different frequencies and we're getting the temperatures changing, we're getting spikes, 1 minute it's high, 1 minute it's cold. Right now today is the 1st of March, and we have snow in the South Island. We have plummeting temperatures in the North Island. Now, we haven't even gone into autumn. There are still leaves on our trees. We don't usually get these kind of temperatures until July, August, September. So that's half a year that we have been flipped, that we have been changed. And I can see that as in the Bible, and I'm not knocking the Bible because there are good areas of information within the Bible if you can see past the story. The story is giving us, showing us a repeated pattern of what a diva/demon/female demon is and how they operate, the different abilities and the different areas that they can come into the dimensions. Now, being a dimensional energy, we are able to tap in and read the different frequencies to be able to access that in the first place. They're putting out the 5G everywhere. Now, like I was saying before we came on to air, back show, if you want to call it, backstage, we're talking about the different hierarchies and the energies that are coming in. And what I'm seeing is, it comes down to Hegelian dialectic. What is Hegelian dialectic? Is when two opposing parties staging a performance to get the vote. At the end of the day, both parties or all other parties involved, aware of this information, are bidding for the rights to farm that region, i.e. country. Now, they've made sure that they've introduced undercover the 5G towers, the cell towers. They're disguising these towers. Now, if they weren't so worried about what they were putting out there, why are they going out there and disguising it in the first place? How come these people that are putting in the smart meters and the smart devices are not fully aware of the job and what it is that they're doing on the bigger picture and how they're going to be connected to the damages created. So we're looking at a huge area of the darker, colder frequencies that are coming in. And I personally, from my experiences, I am aware of the different entities that use the cold density to inhabit. They cannot exist in certain climates. So you've got one part of the planet going through the heat phase where they're becoming deserts, killing everything on the land, changing the oxygen content, and then it goes into a freezing pattern where it becomes colder and colder and colder. It looks like we're going through a mini ice age. We've got to take into consideration the density created by the change in atmosphere and the entities that use that frequency to be able to come and inhabit it. This is not just a 3D solid form warfare that we're undertaking. We can no longer play this game. This is reality. This is exactly what you said. This is what we're in. We are now warriors on a battlefield. We need to look at what the symptoms are that are coming in and how the propaganda out there is saying. As soon as there is enough people coming in with the same complaint, you will start seeing the ads and the advertisements, the NLP programming out there recommending you get to your doctor, you get to your physicist or whatever, so that they can help you on the right field. But what you're not listening to is the fact that these temperatures are playing also havoc on our frequency, which keeps us at a circulation of energy coming round and keeps us on a well balance. Now, we've got the different fields of, okay, there are certain ages people are going through. They're going through menopause. It's not just a female menopause. There's also the male menopause. This is a change of age, a change of life. This is the change of hormones and chemicals that we are ingesting. Now, we've also have to take into accountability the foods that we're eating, because we know that they've played that. They've used that. They've used that against us to slow us down even more. So by identifying that we are frequency beings on a frequency war field, we need to really get in tune with what we are reading and how it is coming through. Now, I'd like to pass this on to Steph, because I know he's in the same field that we're working in right now. So,
okay,
Steph,
well, I'm gonna take the mic because Steph isn't ready yet.
Sweet as.
Huh?
Oh, good. Oh, good.
I'm coming in. Give Steph a chance to. He's not ready yet. So I have. Thank you, Stone, for what you've offered here. Yeah, I feel really strongly in this moment about what is happening, what our awarenesses are, how our awakening and awareness is growing, and how we are really getting connected and tuned in on what we are really up against. And I want to talk about the chaos that I spoke about earlier. Chaos. Now, I was given this information many, many years ago, over 30 years ago, about the chaos was going to be rising, but I was also given this information about ourselves as a human being, that we have the capacities and the abilities, as far as our frequency is to hold a still point. And I spoke about this still point. It's like the still point is in the center of the heart spirit. It's like that calm, peaceful place that is a power, where nothing around you, no entities or negativities or various other things that are intrusive and that are ramping up, basically are they can't enter into this still point. This is a power that we have, and we'll talk more about that, because I know that Stone has a lot to say about this too. But what I found out was actually there is a scientific theory about chaos. And they have done studies and studies and numerous studies that show that even though chaos, when it is ramped up in scientific studies, that within the chaos is a still point. And I thought, wow, that's pretty cool, because I've been talking about that still point, that where chaos can be around us, ramping around us and around us. attempting to affect us and attack us, but if we maintain the still point, nothing can affect us. Now, the still point, of course, connects us to the source of which is divine creator, the frequency of divine creator. Again, please remember, everything that we are discussing, this energy, this frequency is a key. We all are people, beings of energies and frequencies. We draw to us what we release frequency-wise. We bring it to us. We call it to us. It's looking for the same frequencies. So a loving, kind, compassionate, joyous frequency will draw the same. That is how the universe works. And the opposite is if we are hateful, if we are negative, if we are greedy, if we are jealous, if we are judgmental, we are drawing that frequency to us as well, which will affect us and all those around us, because that's how we are connected. So I wanted to talk about that, and because it's very important that we get this piece about who we are, who we really are, and what we are dealing with, and what we are being challenged with, and such a crucial moment in our history. This is the time of the fifth world, 1,000 years of peace. You've heard me speak about this. I'm going to keep speaking about it because this is what is going on in the cosmic realm, in the great sacred web. We are meant to be leaving the fourth world of chaos that has been holding position and place for millennia and millennia, and things are ramping up on that end in the fourth world, where we see this chaos. We see the violence, the murder, the crazies, the hate. That's the fourth world of chaos. Okay, we see in Pakistan and India, they're jockeying there with their nukes, shooting down each other's planes. We see all these things ramping up around our world and the whole of the Mother Earth. And what wants to hold position, that has always held position, will not let go so easily. That is why we are here now in this moment upon this earth. We have all come here to do something, to participate in some way. Hopefully, we all wake up to realize we are here to participate in shifting things into a higher frequency, into the frequency of compassion and love and kindness, because this is the fifth world. That's the frequency of the fifth world of peace. The portal opened to the fifth world, 1,000 years of peace, in 2012. A big shift occurred. It wasn't an end of the world. It was an end of an era, a beginning of a new level of enlightenment, of awakening, of frequency. It's up to us. We're the ones that are being asked to participate. So I wanted to say that. Now I want to talk about Trump and the 5G slash 5.6, the 5G and the 6G that he spoke about in a tweet recently. He said that we have to have this 5G and the coming 6G because we don't want to lag behind the other countries in the world. This is very important, so on and so forth. And a lot of people were like kind of, concerned about that because we know the seriousness of 5G. We know what the heck these technologies are. And basically reading information from CO Brain 2 in decoding Q's information on what Trump said, well, it kind of all made, a shift in people's minds because a lot of people were concerned who were Trumpers when they heard him say or write that we must have 5G and 6G. Uh-oh, there you go. Well, that's kind of crazy, isn't it? Oh, well, so now it's been explained, but let me describe the explanation to you. And what do you think? I'm going to throw this out to you. I want you to think. I want you to really think clearly about what has been said about this whole thing. Okay, now we all know about the wall. We all know about this wall being built and people fighting about the wall, and we don't want the wall, we want the wall. Trump wants the wall. No matter what, he's going to build that wall. Well, somehow this is all connected to 5G technology. 5G technology, we know, is an evil technology that will really do great harm to us, as well as the other technologies that are ramping up. Let's look at it this way. Supposedly, the deep state is pushing for the 5G technology because as supposedly the deep state are evil and they're dark and so on. I'm just putting this out to you as I'm trying to understand this myself. So the wall is really not the wall in New Mexico. It's the wall of technology that will protect us from 5G technology and that could kill us, all of us. This is Trump's words, that could kill us. And he has had numerous brilliant, extraordinary, amazing scientists working on this to protect us all from this technology that the deep state is putting out to kill us all. Okay, this is the story. I'm reading this and I'm thinking, okay, this is bizarre. So I also read some posts that people responded. They were saying, wow, I'm so glad Trump said that. I was really worried that Trump is now going to push 5G and 6G on us. And I was like questioning that. This can't be possible. But now that Trump has said no, the wall that he's been pushing is a technology wall to keep us all safe from 5G technology and 6G technology coming. He said then we must have this technology, though, because we don't want to fall behind the rest of the world that is going to be putting in these technologies. Does this make sense to you? Somehow it didn't make sense to me. I'm thinking, okay, yes, the wall is a distraction. Everything is a distraction, and it's all a game. So we're looking at what he said was, it is the wall technology to prevent the demonic frequencies, the demonic energies from being brought into our dimension. He's talking about interdimensional beings. Okay? Does this ring a bell to you? I mean, we've talked about interdimensional beings. We've talked about demonic beings. We've talked about the light, the dark, the evil, the good. So with all this stuff being thrown at us, I'm thinking, wait a second, is this just another game to say, to let everybody now say, oh, wow, we're saved. Trump is putting up an energetic wall, a frequency wall, to keep out the demons from coming from parallel realms that, by the way, the D-Wave technology is going to be drawing from to bring it into our environment to use their technology, opening the doorways into dimensions, unknown dimensions, drawing out all kinds of whatevers. Is this just to put everyone at ease until the 5G is really in place fully and wholly around the world? I'm just throwing this out to you guys. What do you think? Because it sure seems strange to me. It sure seems like a sci-fi movie. The President of the United States saying the wall is about a technological wall to prevent the demonic entities from entering into our realm from other dimensions, okay, with negative frequencies, to control us all and kill us all. Don't worry. Trump's got it handled. Don't worry. Just sit back, trust the plan, and relax. Now, I'm questioning this because I know all this is real. I do know that there are parallel realms. I do know that there are dark dimensions. I do know that there are entities and beings and scary things out there that go bump in the night. I do know that's real. I've experienced some of these things. I've experienced the demonic entities. I've actually had done battle with them. Okay, and I know other people who have too. And some of that is what I had to clean up when I went to Colombia. Okay, I'm just saying. So this is very real. So I just want to hear from you guys. What are you guys thinking? To me, it all seems like we're heading for a brave new world. That's all. That's what I'm thinking. That was Trump's secret message from El Paso, by the way. You can Google Serial Brain 2, Trump's secret message from El Paso. That's a YouTube you might want to listen to. It will describe all of what I'm, talking about here, and we'll see see what you think. I listen. I've learned in my life to question everything. I've learned in my life to pay attention to my inner truth meter, basically, which is an indicator that tells me through frequency that something is positive or negative or dark or light. And this is one of the tools that we all need, basically, basically to learn. And I'm laughing because Stone says, sounds like you've been living with me. Yeah, I think we're all on the same frequency, Stone. You can pop in if you want to say anything. Or Stefan, are you ready to share some of your insights with us?
Sure, I guess I'm still trying to see it all, but I know that it just seems that everything seems to be ramping up right now. It's coming from all directions. You have the Schumann happening at the same time. I'm getting calls from friends on Facebook. It's the weirdest thing, I've been always in contact with the depressed ones because at one point I was clinically depressed. So it's kind of my gift back to where I've been, and a lot of them are really going through a lot of stuff right now. And whether that's just energetic, on that energetic level, but it is definitely, there's a real battle going on outside and inside, macro, micro. I'm still trying to figure it all out, and it's been a battle for me to stay, I don't know, in a higher vibration in the last week and a half. And actually, I've done a lot of work yet again. When you think that you've done everything, you haven't even touched the surface.
That's right.
I'm saying that they're pulling stuff out of you and making you trigger. And if you join this journey and you're on this journey, you got to do the work. Otherwise, you don't have the ability to, I don't know, stand up for yourself, I guess. Like, to find that center, find that balance inside you that, I don't know what I'm trying to say now.
Well, I think you're onto something there. I think it's very confusing because of these energies are confusing us.
Mm-hmm.
Even when we're trying to get a peace, a reality, or clarity on something, we are still being affected by all of these frequencies that are intrusive to us. And that's the whole point, is to cause confusion in our own minds. So, for me, I always have to go into my heart spirit and really pray hard and ask for the guidance from Creator, from Great Spirit, or from those that I know are my guides and helpers. I need to connect with that frequency. That once I connect with that frequency, you see, what happens is I get centered and I get calm and I can get clarity. We have to take that first step. See, sometimes I feel like we're too much trying to think of things. We're too much trying to be, intellectual here. It's not an intellectual process. It's a frequency process, right?
Yeah. No, I'm looking at what, who wrote that? Who wrote that in the chat room? I'm trying to figure it out here.
What?
Just identifying what's coming in, the more we do it, the faster that we understand the symptoms and the reactions. And it's true because, for a while, I was like, is this me that I'm feeling? Is this me? Is this my anger? Is this my frustration? Is this my jealousy? Or what is it really that I'm going through? I am not one to shy away, I guess. I have to say the past year, I've been dealing with this off and on all year. I've lost a lot of weight and, I found a lot about myself, and I have an amazing woman in my life who is also a real good guide in this. And, as a twin, I guess, she can pick up on it too. And there's times that, we'll take to our own corners and do our own thing because we're just mirroring each other, and she's just showing it right back at me. So, right. And so, and there's that too, but.
It's really important why I keep emphasizing the frequency. Why I keep going back to it. No matter what, we must remember that we are beings of frequency, as well as everybody else are beings of frequency on the human level. Then we have these other frequencies that are not on the human level, that are being thrown at us, that are dimensional beings, that are frequencies that are being ramped up by these, D-Wave and CERN and all these other things that are going on. So we are being subjected to numerous levels of different types of frequency. And it is ever increasingly difficult for us to have clarity. Is this me? Is that them? What is this? That's why we must go center ourselves first. We have to begin to have that tool. How to discern whether a frequency is positive or negative. Is it an artificial intelligence? Is it some entity that's just drawn to me because I'm worried or because I'm angry or confused? You see, we are drawing these things to us, and we are vulnerable to the frequencies that we could say the dark ones or the cabal or whomever are ramping up to confuse us, to create the chaos, to push people to behaviors that are stunning us, that are shocking us. So for us personally, in order for me to get clarity, I must center myself. I have to go into that place of communication with my Creator, the Great Spirit. I have to feel the difference, because it is a difference. Like when you go out on the Mother, and when you sit on the Mother Earth, there is a different frequency there. And after a time, you start to settle down. You start to get a different experience. That's a frequency. And then you are more able to have clarity. You are more able then to communicate with the holy beings, the sacred ones, and receive clarity, you see. And then also you are in protection. That is a protection. Remember, everything is frequency. Either you're calling in the dark with your confusion and so on and so forth, or you're aligning yourself with the light in full protection with the frequency of compassion, gratitude, and love. So this is where we are today. We're not helpless, okay, and it is not hopeless. We just need to learn these tools. We need to really get smart. We really cannot be, arrogant anymore. We just can't think these things. We have to work with the frequencies. This is the key. This is where we are.
Well said. Wow. Exactly.
A
lot of it is, like you said, the frequencies, they attach to you. And the lower your frequency, the more that's going to notice you. Anything that's a negative entity is going to attach onto it, the lower your frequency is. And it goes the opposite as well, where you can't even be seen if you're higher frequency enough.
Well, yes, we're talking from our heart spirits. This wisdom comes to us, right? Mm-hmm. But this is also scientifically proven. Yeah. Okay, so we know this now. We've known it in our own heart spirits. Many of us have. The elders have known this. This is ancient wisdom. Okay, well, guess what? The other side, the dark side, knows all about this too. But they dumbed us down so much that all we do is we're in our crazy head, in our monkey mind, and so on and so forth. So we don't even realize what we have here. We don't realize the power that we have, that we've been given. And many people are spinning now, especially because this is being ramped up. So when they call you, when they come to you, I advise people. I talk to people about what are your thoughts? What are you feeling? What are you thinking? Because they need to identify that. Well, I've been feeling pretty crappy, and I've been feeling, why bother? Everything is hopeless, or this is too crazy. I don't know what to do. Well, that's a low frequency that's going to even ramp up more because you're drawing those entities that love that frequency. I say we're like a buffet. Human beings are like a buffet for these entities. They love it. They feed off of that frequency. They feed off of that energy. of despair, of hate, of judgments. They feed off of that. That's a food for them. That's how they exist. And then the opposite, to build the light, that love and that compassion and kindness is a power. It is an unbelievable power. Then we are, in fact, creating our reality and drawing that to us, and that becomes more powerful and more powerful. And we will not be affected by the demonics, by the entities, by these frequencies. This is a power. Frequency is a power. If you think that I'm talking through my hat, when I say if you hold the frequency of love and compassion and joy and gratitude, that you won't be affected by anything, well, you just try it. You just try it. I'm telling you. And it's scientifically proven. I'm not a scientist. I'm just me, who have had trials and errors and falling off cliffs and dealing with demonic energies and getting all these things and getting more clarity about it, who we really are and what we are here to do. These are tools. This is really important time we are here now. That's all I'm saying. But I'm glad you're here, Stefan.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here. I mean, it's been a real journey, and to find my tribe, it's real cool. Yes.
Yeah, isn't it?
Yes.
Oh, it's a wonderful feeling, right?
Yeah.
I mean, to know that you're not crazy.
Exactly, and there's others that are going through the same thing too.
And we're not alone.
Exactly.
And that there are solutions, that there are answers, that there is something extraordinary given to us.
Yeah.
And I truly and fully believe in that. That's why I'm here. That's why I'm talking to you.
So now we need to look at the symptoms that are showing themselves and find the solutions.
Yeah. What do you have? Okay, roommate.
I'm just sitting here with this like permanent grin across my face because I, like you, I've done this work. I've been living this work. I've gone through the hardships to be able to actually open my eyes and identify what it is that's coming and where it's coming from. I'm constantly breaking down every life experience that I've had to find some purpose or meaning to what it was I went through and why I've got these parties around me under the label government agencies always doing their damnedest to hold me back. Now, when I took it to the next level, because when they've questioned me on my spiritual self and my identity, I've always said, no, I'm very happy with that, and I leave it at that. I don't tell them where I'm going. I don't tell them the actual experiences on that level because I've seen the damages that were created, that were provoked, the areas that are constantly provoked, the emotional outputs. Now, I can see that there's organisations out there to keep us in stuck states. We're looking at our entire survival here. We're breaking it all down. We've got the physical, the mental, the different dimensions that we're accessing all the time. Then we're looking at the information that's coming in, the different energies that we've got around us. Our senses in comparison to the 5G technology / I'm always going to say it, 20G until it shows itself, and and then who knows, I might turn around and say I told you so. But we're on different levels to what we once were. You're looking back through all the generations, we can now see the different energies that were used against our forefathers and mothers for them to have gotten where they are. We have that genetic imprint where it does slow us down because it means it's more material that we have to analyze, we have to go through. Now then you get another party that comes out and writes absolute rubbish about our historical path, where we came from. They change and manipulate our family bloodlines. They know who and where we come from before we even come into the vessel. So it's another level. It's like, okay, we know what your energy signature is, And we really don't, you're not really meant to be here, but we need you here at this particular time. They use us. They use us to turn around and slow us down because we've done it before. We recognize these energies. As soon as we come into this incarnation, the vessel, whatever it is you choose, we are aware because we've already done this before. We've felt these frequencies. The reason we're reacting in such a way right now is because we've already lived this. We don't need to go through this again. There is an easier way to it. They're going to keep bombarding us with different forms of knowledge through the frequency because we are more of a frequency impact receiver sender than we are of solid form matter, organic matter, the memory matter within the water, everything around us. When I say look at your environment, I'm not saying just drive down the streets and have a look. Now, I went to work yesterday. I stopped and I heard a noise. It made me stop. It made me be aware. I heard a female screaming. Yet there's absolutely no other concept to that. Now, why did I hear that while I was traveling? It caught my attention to the point where I scanned my surroundings. There's no close houses. There's a little river. There's these cornfields. Now, anything can be happening. Now, I know the fear states that I've been put into. And if I had screamed out like that, that would have been it. It would have been over. But for other people going through it for the first time, experiencing these different energies, we scream out, we exhale, we are looking for help. Now, we've spent so many incarnations through different programs believing that there was an outside source savior for whatever it is that ails us, mental, physical, and whatever. Now, when we start breaking that hierarchy down, we see it on both sides. We see it through the demonic side that everybody talks about, right through to the churches of the good side, which they've claimed as good. Then we turn around and we find that there's a lot more darkness within the church, which is labeled the good. And the beings, that are influenced that come in line with that, and then there is on the other side. We have to find that balance. We have to find that even keel so that we can clear all this other rubbish around us, so we can clear these different frequencies. There's a lot of information we don't know about ourselves, yet it is out there. We need to become that investigator, that adventurer. We need to look within all the experiences that we've had, all the experiments that we have been put through. Half of the people out there will deny being used as an experiment. They don't want it. This is a form of the mental states that they keep us in. They don't want you to know that your body, how many times have you gone in there for a urine, blood or DNA sample testing when, the medical industry turns around and calls you and sends you letters saying, we need to update your information blood-wise? What is it that they're actually getting from that blood? Well, luckily enough, I worked in those fields and I could see how far they were taking it when I was in that field. So I can only imagine right now what it is that they're taking from us now. Now, we have a poison here in New Zealand called 1080. They've been dropping it across the land to control the pests, the possums, and all these, the stoats and whatever excuses they use for more than 70 years. Now, when it comes down to a human getting poisoned or having symptoms of this particular poison, they will not put it down in their documents. They work in covering and condoning the actions of the Crown employees. Now, the Crown half the time does not know what actually links that are, that's taking place. There's so many different influences. Now, at one stage, we were talking in regards to the quantum computer. Now, years ago, about 10 years ago, I started looking into Q. And when I started looking into Q as in quantum computer, I started seeing it happening, showing itself everywhere around me. In all the TV shows that I was still, watching at the time, the baddie would always come through as the Q. The Q had all the answers to everything. That took me into the frequencies, which showed me that the Q frequency basically was able to absorb it's like a telepathic connection outside of our planet, tapping in to every one of you out there, every living form of energy, produce, a leaf, a plant, a stone, whatever creates these frequencies. Now, with these frequencies, there is information within these frequencies that this outside computer was absorbing this information. So any actions that we were going to take had already been collected as in a data form. So they knew what warfare to bring back on us. Now, for us to be, these are the areas that I've worked in because of the different elements that have come through in the different dark experiences. Now, I had to find my way out of the pain, the shame, the pain, shame, guilt game, the blame game. I had to break all of these different programmings that had been put on to me. The threats that came my way saying, well, you created this, you made this happen. I now actually see it as one of these Hegelian dialectics. This is their way of keeping me in a mental stuck state. Now, where I'm at now, I see the energy that was harvested, the energy that was created, the directions that I took, the work that I took to actually change that, transmute that energy. Now, when I go into the different musics, I was listening to the musics, and when I'm doing, in the early days, when I felt that I was understanding what a clairvoyance was and my psychic tendencies, I wanted to investigate my ability even more. So I got into different groups and different organizations that were using this. I met people who had these abilities. Now, we all were able to work it in a different way. None of us were the same. We had different things, different symptoms, that I call them symptoms now, that showed themselves in the directions that we took to get the information. It's like 1 and 1 equals 2. Now, it doesn't matter how you look at it. If you've got 2 objects there, you add them up, you now have 2 objects. 2 singles make, 2 singles make another number. Now, that number is a solid form. That solid form, whether it's letter, a shape of a letter or a shape of a number, to me now represent an energy force, an energy flow, what you create, what you put into it, how you build it, how it's executed, and how it flows out there. So when it comes to numbers, they become sigils, numbers and letters, sorry. They become sigils, they become a frequency. When we're talking about Trump putting up a wall, and when he turns around and says, 6G technology, I had to laugh. I had to laugh because he is provoking all those that he is working with within that one big governmental unit around the entire planet and off-world. That is his form of provoking others, because he knows that the information of the further different forms of frequency warfare, 5G/20G plus whatever else is out there, the technologies out there are so surpass your wild imaginations. If you type it into Google in any sort of language that you can think of, you are going to find what you are looking for, because it has been designed so. It's been out there. We have been paying in our labor energies to help them develop these other areas. In the very early days, when they used to eat Amanita muscaria mushroom, it was plentiful. Everybody had it. Everybody had this insight, this knowledge. There was this peace and harmony. But as the weather changed and the greed change kicked in, then the produce of these Amanita muscaria started to slow down. So then a select few were given the ability and the position, the hierarchy, to be the ones that would ingest this and come up with the information and share it with the rest of the village. The energies are still there. We still have this DNA. We still have this information. It's now, for me, it's about seeing the experiences that we are in. You'll see one level of it. When you're sitting in silence and you start thinking about it, you'll see another level of it. You'll start seeing that there are symptoms to the different frequencies coming in. We haven't been taught how to analyze the frequencies, the frequency damages, the frequency symptoms that we have. Everything has a solution, a frequency solution. You are a light energy being. You know, you're not just this organic material. We do not die mentally. We may pass on physically, but we do not pass on mentally. We move on to the next bit of information. We are receivers of information, and we now need to come back into our place and be able to go, okay, now I need to analyze all the symptoms, see how many others out there have had the, look for the commonalities, see the patterns, see the historical patterns, and go, okay, I can see where this energy is coming from. I know what the symptoms are going to be. As soon as I am aware of that, I can work out the solution. We are finding information and solving it at a faster rate. We are seeing new frequencies coming, and we are analysing at a faster rate. The faster we do it, the more they're going to throw at us. But we are so capable of so much more than what they can throw at us. Now, in saying that, I jumped off track, but it all comes down to frequency at the end, and I will pass it on to whoever else wants to take over.
Well, I'm going to come in, and we're going to take a break at the top of the hour. I want to welcome Teresa into our talk here, and when we get back, Teresa, we'll give you the mic. I do want to say that I think that the fact that we are spiritual beings is I feel those of us here are aware of that and recognize that, identify ourselves as that. I think this is a difficult place for a majority of people, a great percentage of people, to come into and understand who we really are, what we really are. And when I say that, I feel like, well, we can say nothing matters. If we are beings, spiritual beings, light beings, a spirit soul who came here in agreement to do sacred works, and when our physical body is done, and then no, we do not stop. Our consciousness, our spirit is still present and goes on into, I say, well, I'm going to go home for a while anyway, until it might be time to come back. But I think that we have to take an attitude that it's very important that we're here at this moment in time. We are all present for a reason. We are all significant. We are all sacred beings. We are not this solid mass. And we have the wisdom within us. We were given the wisdom. We were given all the knowledge. And we are uncovering this, and we are opening up this beautiful timeline to evolve and to become enlightened and to raise the frequency to create something here on this Mother Earth that has been designated basically to be created. And I think that this is about, to me, about the battle of the dark and the light. I feel that all of this is a great teaching. The experiences that I have had with the good, bad, and the ugly are all great teachings. I have learned given extraordinary information, not only about myself, but all of us and our presence here. And so we are being taught by these troubles. We are being taught by these challenges. We are being taught even by these dark ones that are attacking us. And I think this is a powerful moment that we are learning about the gifts and the power that we do have. So I'm going to end with that, and when we come back, we can continue this conversation. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here with us, and stick with us.
When I was a lass, I was proud of me class, like my father and mother before me.
They taught me to fight for my civil rights,
and it's always the same old story.
the rich reign supreme while the poor can but dream,
And the Labour or Liberal or Tory. And times while the wealthy relax.
With merrier moments reflection.
Where there's grass, there's muck.
And you don't give it off. There's a program against insurrection. And I say, bugger the bankers and politicians. Bugger the bureaucrats too. Bugger the buggers who make up the rules. And if you're one of them, bugger you. And if you're one of them, bugger you.
Now all you good people with passion to vent, don't give up the struggle for justice. But I've done my time on the protesters' line, and these days I show my dissent.
By loitering within my tent. And I say, bugger the bankers and politicians. Bugger the bureaucrats too. Bugger the buggers who make up the rules. And if you're one of them, bugger you.
And we are back, and thank you for sticking with us here. We're going to continue what I think is a fantastic show. Lots of good information and insights. And, I want to say that in my 76 years, I've learned a lot. I don't know everything. I'm still learning, and we will still continue to learn until we leave this earth. That's what I feel. I think we're here to learn and continue to learn. And I feel also, and I've learned this, that Creator Great Spirit is using us, needs us, is asking us to step up to the plate and do this work. And we need to be, if this is a spiritual war, folks, and I do believe it is, we need to become the warriors. We need to become the spiritual warriors. We need to carry the light really strong, not just half-assed, not halfway. Not just talking. No, we need to become the spiritual warriors. And I'm talking about the frequency again, because everything is about frequency. So you can say all the good things you want about what you're doing and you're this, the blah, blah, blah. I want to know, how are you working with that, with your frequency? Because that's really the key piece. How do you vibrate? What is your frequency on a daily basis? Because this is so key. So I feel really in my heart, and I've had the experiences of dealing with these entities, of these demonic entities, because Spirit put me in these positions, because I had to know what we are really up against. And when you're in it, I'll tell you, it's not easy. It's a challenge. It's beyond your imagining. And in some cases, although Spirit was with me and I did come through it, it was not an easy thing. I don't want to go through it again, frankly, but I was put through certain things to know so that I could talk about this, so that I could really do the sacred works that Creator put me here for. And this, by the sacred works, I'm talking about the ceremonies, the prayers, I'm talking about the building the light, understanding the frequency that I am emanating, that I am putting out every day with my thoughts, my words, and my emotions. Okay, these are frequencies, and that's our power, either in a positive way or a negative way. It is awesome when you begin to realize the gifts that we were given by Creator and how we can make a difference. Every one of us can make a powerful difference, either in the positive way or add to the dark and the negative. This is where we are. This is a big school, I feel. We're in this school here. We are going to continue learning. We need to continue learning, and we need to be open our hearts and our minds and our ears, to receive this guidance, this significant moment in time that we are here to participate in. So I feel when I talk like this and I hear, Stone and Stefan, and I know we're going to hear Teresa in a minute, I get really uplifted. I feel the frequencies. I feel this energy. I feel the excitement. I feel the wisdom coming through. And most of all, I have this great hope, this great wave of hope comes through me. And I love that because this is real. This is real. It's all very real. It's not a game, and we are changing and shifting. Like you said, Stone, it's ramping up. We are all changing and shifting and receiving and moving, and we will be challenged. Are you up for it? Are you up for this challenge? Well, you should be because you came here to participate in this moment in time, this sacred time. So, Teresa, welcome to the show. I'm glad you're here with us.
Thank you. And thank you for the fiery conversation. It's, it absolutely is terrifying and inspiring at the same time. And in the past, I would joke with folks and friends and say, about topics like this, I used to be really mixed up about this information, but now I'm just confused. But if you spend all your time thinking about the external stuff, it takes us away from looking inward, and we do have to thank our, the opposition, that force. If you think about it, they are absolutely worthy opponents, and we thank them for being there. And part of me thinks about what we've come through already, from 2012 to now. I find, we were all kind of like the seven dwarfs, and most of us were either grumpy or sleepy or something like that. And then with these, as I'll call them, worthy opponents, have come forth, it's really awakened us to our gifts, our intuitions, and given us an opportunity to be very deliberate about our thoughts, deliberate about the words that come from our hearts, and very aware to and awaken to what we perceive. Whether we're in a hologram or not, it is still a frequency that we've all kind of agreed to be in. And so some of the things that I've learned along my journey, I've been fortunate enough to be with World Healers, with Frank Jordan, originally from Wolf Spirit Radio, and now participating with People for People Radio, very gratefully, I might add, to Gaz and all. And along that journey, there were times when I can remember this one time in particular. Frank Jordan, I refer to him as one of my mentors. He's north of 80 at this point. Over 80. He used to be a cowboy, and he's my mentor. I can always go to him. And I can recall one time we were all listening to the works of Harold. I forget his last name exactly. Someone can help me out with that. He talked about black goo and the studies that were done, spiritual studies about it and what it means to the world. And it seems to be, you hear about that, and you hear about the loosh of the children, and there's an endless number of topics. And poor Frank, one day, we had just been doing work healing the earth, and we used to dedicate every Wednesday to etherically traveling around the earth and healing or lifting the stresses uh, from the earth to lessen the volcanoes and uh, tectonic plates were, the earthquakes were ready to pop, we were literally doing this work, and Frank was watching it on a screen, and he was watching the uh, the earthquakes, the frequencies, the hot spots, literally disappearing off the map as we're doing our work. It was such a beautiful confirmation, yeah. And it wasn't long after that we were listening to that fellow Harold. I wish I could remember his last name. And he was really taking that to heart, a lot of the really dark stuff. And he didn't even know how to start the show. And he said, I just feel like not opening my door ever again. There's so much horror out there. And I said, hey, wait a minute. We've come too far to chicken out now. And we've got to continue to bravely step forward, like a fireman going into a hot building. You think they really want to go into a hot building? Not really. But they do it. They muster up some kind of belief and trust experience, and they bring that with them. And they've saved many, many lives. And, and they're following their path. There's some passion that's driving them in the same way that we have the passion of our own experiences to drive us. And, one of the bigger things that I see out there is the divisiveness. For example, an hour drive from where I'm in southern Ontario, southwestern Ontario, I just saw on the news that they've literally kicked out 6,000 children from school, and I don't know whether it was middle school or high school, for not having vaccinations. And I thought, wow, there's some children's loose, right? And now we're really going to divide the city and divide the people.
Where is this, Teresa?
In Waterloo, Ontario.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. And it's, it's like probably one of the most dynamic areas in southern Ontario in terms of computers. And there's an institute there called the Pi Institute where all the thinkers of the world collect. It's a university town. I mean, it's got all of the pretty aspects to a city, right? And now it's like, oh wait, that's a little bit too nice. Let's go and stir up some loosh in the city, right? And
yeah.
It's
it all looks good, right?
Sure. So
yeah.
So all of us in our positions and in teaching others and working ourselves, we need to be able to soften the resistance in our own selves to allow that energy to flow, and stay grounded. I mean, it reminds me, as you were all talking, we need to take the same position as it takes to use telepathy,
right,
where we connect to source, connect to the earth, and we open our hearts and communicate and listen and receive.
That's cool.
and work from our own hearts deeply, and even receive this information rather than feel your knees knocking. Just let that go and transmute it and come from that higher set point, that higher self, and send out the pulses of, or we call them love bubbles in the world healing, in any way that we can. So we let's look at our own selves and our own set points, and look at what it is and release what is holding us back. Release that resistance. Don't take on. Don't own the fear. Don't own the loose takers. Don't own any of it. Be aware of it. Be the observer of it.
Yes.
And be in the forum of, again, celebrating our worthy opponents and sending out the passions that we feel for the higher potential of this realm.
Yes.
So there are my sharing for now.
Well, thank you. Yes,
Mhm.
I love what you're saying, and it reminds me of to know ourselves, the power that we do have and the wisdom that we do have, that frequency of connectedness to the Great Spirit, Sacred Mother too, is a very, very important for us to observe our own selves, for instance, like to observe the way we look at the world, to observe the way we react or receive information, because there's so much information and we are being inundated. And it is not to be in fear, of course, but to see this with a spiritual eye. I'm going to use that term. Let us view everything that is occurring with a spiritual eye from our heart spirit, okay, with the wisdom what that represents, the wisdom of knowing, okay, this is the grand moment in our time to raise the frequencies, to be aligned and do the sacred works. There was a study years ago that I was listening to while I was riding on the radio about this group of people, certain numbers of people from different parts of the world connected to do meditations, visualizations, and focusing on the light and love and harmony and peace. And they did this together for 4 years at certain times of the day, together, wherever they were. And they took information and all sorts of, systems, information from each one of these cities, major cities in the world. And over 4 years, they noticed that every time they did this focusing and this prayer and the visualizations of light and harmony and peace, that there were less violence, there was less murders, there were less police calls, there was less emergencies. And the other thing was, I thought was odd, that the Dow went up every time they did this. I guess you'd say, well, the Dow represents people's sense of security so that they would, act on their I guess, their choices for what they want to do for abundance, right? Let's invest in this, let's invest in that, because there's good energy here. It's not a conscious thing. It is unconscious. But this study was really quite amazing, and it didn't surprise me, actually, because that's what we're talking about. We are talking about the power that we have when we emanate a frequency of love and peace and harmony. And yes, we must be careful, because in order to know, I guess what you'd say, what we're up against, or you have these news things like you heard, we feel shocked and we feel disturbed and upset and concerned. And that's a frequency. So we must really be very careful to not get drawn in or roped in or caught in that frequency of concern and fear and so on. This is this is a challenge, but this is a very key piece. So we must know what we are up against. We must know, you could say, the enemy, in order to build our own spiritual strength and to be in that higher frequency. So I think that it's very important. And, I feel very, I have advised people, and they have done this, is to homeschool their children, or to find a group of like-minded people that are homeschooling, where these children, have a different experience entirely. They're not in that controlled education system that is basically to dumb down the children and get them into under the authorities' rule, where they are told what to do, vaccine your children or whatever, or give your children these drugs because now they're termed ADD or ADHD. All of this authoritarian system we are under is basically built to destroy the coming generations. This is what's going on with the technology. We must be very careful of that frequency. We must be very wise. We must learn how to discern positive frequency from negative frequency and learn how to ward it off, learn how to push it back, learn how to use the energies ourselves. These are ancient tools. This is ancient wisdom. This is nothing new. So, Star, I'm going to ask you to come in. Welcome. It's so good you're here. Do you have something you want to share with us?
Hello everybody. I've been getting everything wrapped up. The thing that I typed into the chat, because I literally just got here and started listening, so I needed to catch up on everybody. It is lovely to hear Teresa on here. We change the perspective, and then the change in the heart comes. So it's like once somebody's mind can open up just a little bit, it helps to change perspective or see it from another point of view, maybe compassion, but it changes the heart. And when that changes the heart, it changes the mind because it changes how it thinks. You can go the alchemical, how it changes things in the brain. But then once the mind is changed and the heart is in agreement with the mind, then that is the emotional fuel that is put into our speaking or manifesting our creative force. And so each one of us, as we wake up, it's just a little bit at a time, and we can share something one way, and then the next day we share the same thing, we share it a different way. Somebody's mind opens up just a little bit. There's a possibility something else is going on. And we change, and the heart changes. What do you really want in the world? Do they want the war? No, you want the peace. You want the family. We want the healthy energies. And I don't know, it's just a little phrase, but just ways to explain it. The mind and the heart and the soul are all one entire functioning system. And for one to be out of balance, they're all out of balance. So that for our own personal energetic higher vibrational goal here is to get the heart and the mind in alignment and to focus on what you really love, and that's following your heart and knowing that you've been given the creative ability to do it, because if it's already something you love, then you've kind of already got a knack for it anyway. You're going to feel your way to it. And when you're doing that, you're never really working a day in your life, but it comes to it to where you're doing what you love to do, so you're in a higher vibration and you're giving more into what you do, so you're creating things with a more higher vibration, and then that passes out that way. So there's my 2 cents worth for as much of the conversation as I've caught.
Well, it's worth more than 2 cents.
$1.50. All right.
All right, that's a little better. But thank you for your words. And the question. Oh, here's a question for us all. We could talk about this. Laz says, "What is balance?" I said, "It feels good." And it does feel good. Balance and harmony feels different than out of balance or disharmony. And that's what we have to become aware of. What are our feelings? What am I feeling right now? I say to people, what is your frequency right now in this moment? Say on a scale from 1 to 10, 10 being the highest, where is your frequency in that, between 1 and 10? The answer will come actually right away. It's not like a thinking process. You will feel it. It will come.
Right
Did you
now,
want to say something?
I'm thinking about an 8.5, 9. Just
Okay.
because I've gotten so many things wrapped up. I'm moving forward in a whole new way. Just life finally feels like I'm back in a groove again, a good one and not a rut. There's a difference. And so it's a symbiotic system. You have the faith and you have the will to create something. When that thing comes about, ride that joy into creating the next one, but go with the flow with it. And so
Right.
that's,
Yeah, and so the point is that just because we might identify a frequency at one point as 8.5 or 9. Some people say, well, right now I think I'm really flying above 10, Well, like the next day you could drop to a 2 or a 4 or whatever. Okay, it's not bad. It's not a bad thing. What it is about becoming aware of our frequency, the energy that we are emanating, because that energy affects the whole, affects what we love, really. So we can pay attention to that, and we can learn to shift our frequency then. If you identify why is my frequency a number 4 right now? What is going on? What am I hearing in my head? Did I just see something that was disturbing? Am I feeling sad? Did I have an argument with someone? This is just about awareness, about waking up to who we are and what we represent and what we are emanating. Because this, again, goes back to frequency that affects the whole. That's how connected we are. So, yeah, we have knee-jerk reactions to things. We can get really angry right away very quickly. And that anger drops our frequency. And that frequency then emanates out around us and spirals out into infinity and touches everything that we love, affects everything that we love, and adds to the food for the negative, the food for the dark. So it's amazing when you start thinking about it. But we are beings that react. We are emotional. We have an ego. But the spirit within us is not connected to any of that. It is completely different. It is at peace. It's joy. It's the light. It's divine. It's sacred. So it decided to come into this experience here, this big school, I say, and participate. And once we awaken to who we really are and what we are doing here, I think things can shift for people, And of course, the other part, knowing that that spirit within us, who we really truly are, does not ever end. It doesn't die. It's the physical self. We journey on, right? And once we realize who we really truly are and the power that we do have, there's sort of like a grace, a sense of grace, a sense of inner peace. When you begin to know yourself as a sacred child and that you are not alone, that you are loved unconditionally by the Great Spirit Creator, and that you are here as a significant part of this time, it changes your life, Right? Anybody want to say anything at this moment?
Yeah, hi there, Stone Hobbit. I'm loving the show. This is absolutely high energy. I'm loving it. On the side, I'm typing constantly because I can't help myself.
Well, I'm glad you're here.
I'm getting this. I'm understanding this. It's so good to know there are other people going through the experiences and have done the work in analysing what's going on. For me to get through what I've gotten through, I have to see myself as an adventurer. Before that, I was an experiment. So once I can transmute or reframe the negativity that has been put onto me, I'm able to, it's like a form of clearing. I'm able to give myself that breath so that I can start taking in that information in a different a different way. I can translate what is coming in faster. I've chosen to take that split second. It's a microsecond of what it used to be. I used to go through all the emotional outputs, the crying. I had to try to break down and understand why I had these physical actions to other people's words. Why did I allow those words? How was it those words were affecting me? When I could see that, okay, there is some stuff that I can transmute and get through. There's a lot of areas I can sit there and be provoked to the very last minute. And it's like I'm pushing myself. I'm building my strengths in areas, knowing very clearly what the other person or the other party, the opponent is doing, how it is making me react. Now, you know, I've never been one for lashing out and punching a hole in the wall. I tried it. It wasn't me. I didn't like it. I went back and fixed it. You know, that's being able to show myself there is a form of control there. There is a form of chemical reaction. I don't want to lash out and damage my vessel because I've got to use this vessel for the rest of this incarnation. This vessel is receiving information 24/7. I have to learn a way to be able to interact with the vessel that I am in. Now, through my journeys, I've gotten to see fight and flight and actually break it down into an emotional understanding to not being fully aware of one's capabilities, the limitations that have been programmed in us. When you can break down the words that people are using, you can see the programs. They're really clear. You can plug yourself in, and you can gain all these different areas of information, these different areas of skills. Some people go out there and pick up stones, whatever they need to tune themselves into being able to clear out the rubbish frequencies and start listening a little bit further. The more you listen further, the more you learn. You change your frequency. You hear your frequency. You hear your heartbeat. You hear both sides of your heartbeat. The next sound you hear is the different frequencies taking place in your body. How can you make all of this work in order? You are at the front of your orchestra. What sounds and frequencies do you want to put out there? What information, as you were saying earlier on when we're talking about frequencies attract frequencies. You've got the dark frequencies which will be attracted to your output. You know, and as you know, if you are provoked into a chemical response, chemical reaction, you're going to have different forms of parasitical entities coming in. They will bring their hosts towards you. The feeding is shared. It is multiplied. They will leave. They will be emptied up on the negative side. So will the person they've left. When you can see that somebody comes into your fray or your area, your space, and they're draining you of your energy, you just no longer want to be there. Remove yourself. Take back your power. Start analyzing what these emotions are doing to you, because it's not just, okay, you feel a certain way, you feel, you know, like you're the smallest living being out there, or somebody's made you feel a certain way. You know, you've got emotions come in different levels. You've got the high and you've got the low. And at the same time, you've got all these different parasitical entities out there feeding off these forms of energy that you are producing. When you start seeing that both of them are feeding and getting the same output at the end of the day, and you're left drained either on the up or on the low, because there's always a come down when you're on the high, there's always an up pick when you're on the low. When you find your balance, you know when these energies are coming in. You get to sense it faster and faster, to the point where you no longer want to interact with those parties out there that are creating disharmony within your own frequency. You've done enough work for yourself to try to pick them up to your level. We do this without even being aware that we're doing it. None of us want to go out there and provoke somebody into a rage or make you feel like crap when you leave there. You want to go there. You want to pick each other up. It's hard when you have close frequencies. Like in a lot of families, when they come together, they come from that family frequency. There are a lot of different areas of information coming in. You know, I don't do family. I don't do close people because I limit what I choose to share. I limit the balance that I am. I know what picks up my balance. I know how to change a negative frequency, as in some music forms, into a positive energy. I'm constantly transmuting the energies, the information. I'm transforming, I'm reforming, I'm recreating what it is that I want to ingest, the information I want to get from it. If it doesn't feed me, if it's not going to help me and make me a better frequency, then I leave it alone. It's not for me. It's rubbish. It's a waste of my space and my time. I've had so much energy drawn from me. Now, in an earlier conversation, we were discussing different groups of people that get together. Now, for me, I've seen this. I've seen the parapsychical entities feeding in different concerts, big gatherings of people, football stadiums or sports arenas. You see the shape of the energy. Through a process of elimination, I ended up at the Etheria Society. Now, I went there for a meeting. They had all the little, the candy, the enticements that I wanted to investigate. All the signs were there. I was given a whole lot of information from the source. And when I actually got there and investigated, I found that they were energy harvesting from us. The reactions, the chemical responses and reactions. From there, when I went to a sports game, which I was involved in, I saw another completely different layout. I saw the energy as we are the energy being force-fed into what the action was taking place in front of us, much like when we're sitting in front of a TV and it changes our emotions. We go through the different physical changes, we go through the different emotional changes. We're also being spiked. We're also, when they can see that they can affect us in a certain way, they're going to take it to the next level. And they continue to do this. When you sit down in front of a TV, you've now got a spy camera watching you, a smart TV, smart devices, the technology behind them that they've got out there. They're watching us. They're watching us for our energy evolve. We're evolving constantly. We're learning to be able to be that adaptable being. We've always been these areas, these different labels. We've always had these different abilities. But now we're coming into an era like it's a humongous classroom of knowledge and different beings having different experiences. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter the skin you're in. It is a shell. It is your vessel. It is your machine to move us from A to B. We've been designed in this organic vessel to survive on this planet. I believe this planet came before we did. We came in as star seeds, if you want to use those terms and that label, and we have grown with the planet. We have learned the frequencies. We've taken on board the information, but we've also taken on board the slavery and other information of trauma from different incarnations. So once we sit down and start to analyze the different feeling states that we go through, and at the end of the day, for me, I'm working in an area of emotions, the strength and energy behind emotions. What are the chemical reactions to these emotions? Because I no longer wish to be a parasitical entity, a host of or for any form of parasitical entity. I know they're going to constantly watch what we're doing and how we're evolving. I see it. I see it. I feel it. I sense it. I taste it. I smell it. I know in my heart of hearts and all my feeling states as a 3D incarnation that we are not alone here. We are given direction. We are guided in different direction. These are different teachers. If you choose to be a student and learn and look further than just sitting in the class and putting your hand up and not getting that opportunity to speak out and have your voice and get that answer answered, you have to take on that new persona. I've gone through the stages where people have labeled me as borderline personality syndrome. I have to be able to exist in this reality. There are so many different areas that we are being bombarded with. We need to break all of this information down. Now, when it comes back to the balance, when you were saying what is balance? Balance is when we know when the scales are slightly moving up or down. We now know how to bring that balance back to that balance. This is who we are. We've had this knowledge forever. It doesn't take much to look out there and see the different cultures within the native cultures. There are forms of belief systems and medicines that work. These natives have been shut down so they don't share this, yet the governments will allow a very tip of the iceberg amount to come out and continue their practices so they at a later stage can use these practices against us. Remembering always what we say can and will be used against us. Now can is yes, they will use it against us, and will, that is who we are, that is what we are. Knowing what our energies are, they have no control over us. We know what we're going to become. Now,
Well, that is why they are afraid of us, really.
absolutely, totally they are.
That's right.
You know, I'm working with patients that are getting older now, and they've been put into retirement homes. And it's really hard to watch these people who've lived a lifetime being involved in all these aspects of life coming into the world, life going out of the world, and then to see them through their journey lose every bit of memory that they had. They
Yeah.
cannot access those areas anymore. You know, and then knowing the light and the experiences I've had with the light, the fakeness of that light, you know, if they can dumb us down now before we get to that next level, we are easy prey. We are very
Right.
easy prey. Just recently I had a specialist come through and assess what the situation was, and they turned around and told me, under the cuff, there are 18 new retirement villages dedicated to Alzheimer's and dementia.
Yeah.
That screams alarm bells for me, knowing what they're doing to our atmosphere, the water, the temperatures, and our food sources. So, you know, on one aspect of our frequencies, we also have to be aware of our environment and what they're doing to us so we can counteract that. Anyway, that's my rant. Moving right on.
Well, thank you for the. I love rants. I love the rants. It's good because you're in the flow, you know, and I feel that way. It's just coming through, and we allow the flow. You know, I think that the I always wind up saying after we do these shows or towards the end of the show how extraordinary this moment in time is. And I feel this great surge of frequency of joy and, as I said before, hope. Um, and hope can change your life. You know, it changes everything. But certainly love is the key piece that we're talking about. You know, we're talking about the frequencies here. That's how we started this show, and I've been talking about frequency for many years. We are beings of frequency. All of nature and all of creation has a frequency, all into infinity. There are frequencies and energies that are at work here and functioning. Nature has its frequency. All of nature in that manner has its frequency and is doing its job, has remembered its original instructions, its purpose, its signature, its imprint, its original, I guess you'd say, its original vibration. We, the human people, because we have been inundated with the brainwashing and dumbing down and various other authoritarian controls, we carried that frequency here into this lifetime, that high frequency, the wisdom, the awareness of ourselves as sacred beings, and landed here and quickly became inundated with the authoritarian control system that our parents and our grandparents and generations before had been basically, you know, taken over by. So we've been on an extraordinary journey. You know, when I was a child, I was born and gifted with many of the telepathies, I guess you would call it, or these gifts. I call them gifts, and I do believe they are gifts from Creator. And so I saw things, new things, experienced many things that I guess you say oftentimes people don't. And I knew things. I knew what I was being told by the authorities was wrong. I knew the darkness. I knew the troubles. And I experienced these. So it's been a long journey for all of us. I'm sure all of you out there can identify with what I'm saying. And the reason you're here on People for People, out there in the chat, you've been drawn here, guided here, and we all here as the hosts on this roundtable, we all have pretty much the same story. We've all been guided here. I can clearly and strongly say I know Great Spirit guided me here to this moment in time to meet up with all of you on the sacred web of life. That's why I say this is an awesome time. When I listen to what we're all saying, we're all sharing, we are also connected in this frequency of understanding. And when I see, the people in the chat here, and I realize that we are all in this together, and we've all been guided here in this moment in time. And I want to just say that let the words today that everyone has shared in their stories and their insights and their wisdoms, let this remain with you in your heart spirit and carry this with you throughout this week until the next round table, I suppose, we're going to have. I know I'm sounding like I'm going to sign off right now. We do have a few minutes, but it's just coming through, this joy I feel about being here in this timeline, which is a crucial timeline, but it's an extraordinary, awesome timeline. I have no fear. I feel uplifted. I don't wallow around in that fear or feeling like it's all hopeless. I don't believe that. I believe that something extraordinary is happening in this moment in time, and we are all a part of it. To me, it's a simple thing, maybe not to others about this frequency thing, but I can feel the difference. When I feel joy, when I am filled with joy as a sacred child, I identify myself as the Great Spirit, Creator, Mother, Father, sacred child. I am here, and I open myself to receive the love, the unconditional love, the frequency of the love of the Creator, and the light and joy of the Creator. And I identify myself as a beacon of light and peace and love. I am a beacon for the Creator, as we say, this vessel. I am embodied. I am that spirit embodied within this vessel at this timeline. This is what I look like. This is what I'm appearing like. And so I speak to the universe that way. That's sort of like a little prayer or a mantra or identifying myself. I'm speaking to the Creator. I am your sacred child. I am filled with your love, with your joy, with peace, with harmony. I am your beacon. I am your beacon emanating love, joy, and peace for all of your creation that I love so much. I'm so grateful for. So grateful for the mother, grateful for the trees, the standing ones, the waters, the water people, the Wonia, the breath of life, the cloud people, sky nations, all of this in creation that is doing its sacred works, that has not forgotten its frequency. This is where we are today. So I'm just going to, I guess there you are. I see that beautiful lady there. I just want to thank every one of you. We had a really good and beautiful turnout of people in the chat. I love reading what you were all saying, and it's really good. You all have some good ideas and good input, and your presence here is so much appreciated. I know that everybody else can say the same. It uplifts us that you're out there, and I just want to thank every one of you, and I want to thank you, Stone and Teresa, Star, and Stefan, for being here today, and Gaz for what you do to get us here and all hooked up and participating in that way like you do behind the scenes. We love you, and I love everybody out there. And unless anybody has anything last to say, a good word, just say one word that is in your heart right now. Just share that with the people in the chat and in the world before we sign off. Stefan?
It's been an honor, folks. It's been an honor to have met such an eclectic group of people. I'm just starting this journey, I guess. I don't see any kind of ending, and I don't think I'm even beginning to... what am I trying to say? I haven't even touched the beginning of what we are. And I could sit here and be spellbound by you ladies. It's just really, really cool. And I didn't chat much in the chat room. Actually, I didn't say anything in the chat room on the People for People thing. But hi, guys. It's good to see you all in there. And I am there. I just got a small screen, so I can't do both.
Well, we're glad you're here with us.
And
We sisters are glad you brother is here with us.
amen. Glad to be here.
All
Glad to
right.
be the teeny one.
All right. And Star, do you have any last words?
Transmutation. The word transmutation just came to mind when you originally asked the question. It's, because of so much that's going on with me personally, but also how we can transmute the energies that are around us. I thought my stuff was good. Apparently my brother-in-law's not real happy. My few boxes and stuff for the yard sale in his garage, and where I thought things were good, there's no anger, and I am thinking of how I can transmute this situation. So I think that's why transmutation came up. But it's something we all do daily. It's a choice
Yeah.
we have in how we handle anything. I love
I
you,
think we're
world.
doing it continually, transmuting things, right?
Yes.
Thank you for
indeed.
being with us. I'm glad you made it.
Thank you.
And Teresa? Teresa, are you there?
Yes, yeah, I couldn't find the mute button.
A few words to say goodbye. Thank you.
I just want us to think about the boogeyman. And I think its origins were in the past, historically, when people discarded dead bodies or tried to hide those they may have murdered. They ended up in the bogs. And to not be found out, they created stories to tell children, beware of the boggy man. And probably there were souls that were not at ease and would come forward, but the realities and the myths that are created are tangled together, and it's for us to discern what is what is make believe, so to speak, for mythology or a perceived reality. So do not beware of the boogeyman. They face him straight on and help him on his journey. Thank you.
Thank you. And Stone?
Yes, honey. Thank you, everybody, for coming on and joining in and sharing the information, because, we're all doing this journey. We're all experiments. We're all experiences. We're all adventurers looking for commonality. They're looking for the right information. At the end of the day, it's confirmation that what you're doing and experiencing is right. It may not be right a couple of weeks down the track because you've already learned. It's giving you those areas that you are opening yourself up to and knowing what's coming in. Be safeguarded. There is a lot of shit out there that you don't need. You need to learn how to, wade your way through it. Stay calm. Take that breath. Slow down and be able to get those chemicals into place and then work out any issue that comes up. There's a solution for everything that happens. And we are the light. You are that light energy that's going to find those answers. Anyway, I'd like to say thank you again. Keep transmuting everything that you're experiencing. It is standard. See it as a third party, knowing that you are that experiencer. You have done this long haul, and now you're going to get to a better place. All right, and in saying that, I will look forward to seeing you all again. I will be back on my Wednesday, your Tuesday at 9 p.m. in another show of Transmutation. And thank you again. I'm Stone Hobbit. Be safe.
Thank you. Well, thank you, everybody. I think this was a really great and powerful show. We kind of figured it would be. I think it always is. So I hope more people tune in. Tell your friends to tune in to the Roundtable coming up next week and see who comes on with us and where we're going to go. Where we go, we're all going to go. And I'm heading for I'm heading for brighter, lighter, more joyous, peaceful, more grateful times. I'm ramping that up for you guys. And I just want to say that, the snake medicine is about transmutation. Like the snake is always shedding its skin, just dropping it off, moving out and to a new form. And that's what we're all doing. And so I just want to thank everybody for tuning in today. And we will see you next week. Today is Thursday, so I know we have some good shows coming up over the next few days. Please keep tuning in. There's some great hosts, great shows on, and I think my sister Patty Walking Turtle and me will be back on Monday with the Turtle and Crow Show. Looking so much forward to that, and I will hopefully share a little bit about my trip to Colombia. I'll try to give out some of that information about what happened there, and it's like being in paradise there. But yeah, it's a beautiful place, beautiful people, loving and very joyous people, even though they've been in some sort of a war, I guess, for 60 some years. They're known as happy people, and the food is delicious. I did save the life of a giant tarantula. That was quite an experience. So, there, I'm going to let you go now. And thank you so much, everybody. Pilamaya, Doksha, Aki, Wanchinkian, Tinkilo. I will see you again.
This is Rick Simpson, and you're listening to People for People Radio, the voice of truth in Scotland.